Happy Mardi Gras! As you can see, I was inspired by the festive holiday along with Skin Illustrator's Mardi Gras palette. Hope you stick around and see it all come together. Start with gluing down those eyebrows and put on a plastic bald cap. Used 8F Telesis silicone adhesive to glue it down. Blend the edges into the skin with a bit of acetone. Took Mehron Paradise paint in white to roughly sketch out the skeleton and the beads. After that, grabbed the Mehron palette again and took the color Mango. Went ahead and painted in all the bones. The reason I didn't do this with Skin Illustrator is it makes it a lot easier to get the alcohol colors off with a thin base of water activated color underneath. When I'm doing these makeups, the faster I can get out of them, the better. Now let's grab that Skin Illustrator Mardi Gras palette and start with the electric orange. Paint on the light source on one side. I do have a rendered image for this makeup. Wanted a metallic skeleton incorporating the colors from the palette. Painting it blotchy to give the edges a textured look. Took Skin Illustrator Electric Orange Liquid and airbrushed the same area to build up the orange we just painted. I did this because I just feel like I can build up the opacity faster than if I were to hand paint. Next, use Skin Illustrator in black. Begin with the outline and build up the shadow areas. In doing this, a reference is super important. With chrome and shiny surfaces, the shadows are more towards the front and more dramatic than more organic surfaces. Again, like the orange painting with the side of the brush for interesting blotchy shapes. After I get it all down, applied softer shadows with the Illustrator, only this time cutting it with more alcohol, so it acts more like a wash. Now I want to protect everything with a few passes of Skin Illustrator Zero Marble Sealer. Next color is Bourbon Street Amber out of the Mardi Gras palette. This is for soft highlights on the orange side and to build up areas all over. I did paint this around the eyes. If you do this, be very careful of how wet the brush is. You don't want to get any alcohol in your eyes or have the fumes burn them. Back with the black Illustrator, build up some more of the areas where needed. Using Jester Yellow out of the Skin Illustrator palette, paint in the highlights along the bones. Applying this mixture quite concentrated. If there was too much alcohol to the mixture, it's going to come out too translucent. Went back to the black and shaded a few areas that may be a bit too light or didn't really get defined enough yet. Taking Skin Illustrator White, put in stark highlights, painting in different opacities as I jump around and adding more opacity or color as I go. Next, use purple Mehron Paradise paint on some of the beads. Then the Paradise paint light green for the remainder of the beads. Back in with the Mardi Gras palette, use Emeril'd Green for the shadows on the green beads, keeping it on the outer edge of each circle. With Lime Daiquiri, paint in the rest of the beads. Did this to build up the opacity from the Mehron. Purple Justice is used for the shadows on the purple beads. Applied it just like the green, keeping in mind the direction of the light source so they all go together. Wanted to have a little fun with the color on the purple ones, so use some French Quarter Fuchsia out of the Skin Illustrator palette and using it in the middle of each circle. On one of the sets of green beads, I did add some Jester Yellow to the center of them to create a slightly different version. Use Skin Illustrator White to add bright highlights on the individual beads. Took a thin brush and outlined each bead with the black Illustrator to create a more dimensional look. Went back in with the electric orange to intensify some areas. Taking the Mardi Gras palette again, using the color Blue Bayou, feathering out from the top of the skeleton and painting in the exposed skin between the bones. Spritz a little Zero Marble Sealer, finishing up the blue to create the open areas in the nostril cavity and the eye sockets. Put on a little zero color powder over each lid so the color won't stick to itself when I open my eyes. Took Mehron Black Edge to paint out the rest of the remaining skin and leaving a gap to the blue. Added some of the Mehron liquid into an airbrush to bring the black closer to the skeleton. Went back in with the brush to clean up the top of the head. Using Mint Julep Illustrator liquid, airbrushed the outer edge of the blue and added it to the inner areas of the blue to give it a glowing effect. Finished fleshing out the nose and eye area with black Illustrator. Again, using zero color powder on the lids as I go, and add some more color between the teeth. Went through and really intensified the black and refined all the areas throughout. Did take some Mehron White Edge and add a few brighter highlights. Build back up some of those Jester spaces and add it to the eye sockets. Went back to the Mehron Paradise paint palette, this time with orange, added a few areas towards the outer edges of the electric orange. This is slightly lighter than the electric orange, so it adds a bit more dimension. Added a few more highlights with white Mehron. And darkened some spots with the black Mehron. And then just the last few highlights with Mehron Edge. And all done. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.